Chapter 751, Great, this was so Tangning. For the next few days, the public's favorite thing to do was to compare Bayu with Tangning. Everyone laughed at the fact that Tangning wasn't likely to ever meet another female artist with a higher EQ. However, not many of them saw the truth behind the facade. Bayu's high EQ was merely another method to show off herself. Bayu's so perfect, she's all we need. Tangning can stay at home and take care of her baby. No, she's not. For the sake of acting, Bayu was even willing to give up on her baby. She's completely obsessed with acting. The two women are so similar that we only need one of them. Since Tangning has already retreated from the industry, there's no point making a comeback. She should leave out the forensic concubine for someone else. Faced with a sea of opinions, Bayu was on the positive end. Since Tangning didn't like to explain herself in public, people began to see her as a duplicate of Bayu. With the release of behind-the-scenes footage from a concubine, fans placed a lot of attention on Bayu and preferred the way she handled her work. In this world, fans always preferred good looks and perfect figures, regardless of whether they were male or female. This was the reality of the industry. Whether one became fat or had plastic surgery, if their looks downgraded, their career would have no choice but to come crashing down. And it seemed, in front of everyone, Tangning was one of these people. Yet, she kept hanging on stubbornly. Regarding matters like this, Tangning never tried to explain herself. Fortunately, there were still people that supported her and trusted in her. So, in regards to siding with Tangning or Bayu, plenty of friends ended up getting into fights over the matter. President, the commercial shot by the madam for the luxury cosmetic brand will be released internationally tomorrow. The advertising agency has already confirmed it with us. Inside the CEO's office of Hairu, Luce was holding a thick stack of documents and was waiting to report them to Moting. However, Tangning's commercial was big news, so he placed it as the top priority. When the time comes, all the biggest shopping centers and office buildings will be broadcasting this season's new commercial. You don't need to worry about exposure. Moting was currently standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. After hearing what Lucci had to say, he turned around in a refined manner and said, "News of the male lead for the forensic concubine will make the headlines in a few days." After bullying Tangning for so long, it was time for Bayu to experience what it felt like to be overwhelmingly crushed. How dare she compete with Tangning in terms of EQ? Who gave her the courage? The next day, Bayu participated in a program called Visiting Big Shots. As the most talked about actress, she obviously didn't give up on any chance to show off her EQ, especially when the reporters asked her how she felt about being compared to Tangning. She acted extra modest. To be honest, if we consider the date that we debuted, Tangning is actually my senior. I honestly think she's done really well already. No way, you've done much better. Really? Thank you. Bayu smiled as she thanked the reporter. By saying Tangning debuted earlier, she was merely hinting that Tangning was old. Plus, you're currently more beautiful than Tangning. Thank you. Honestly, thank you. But, Tangning has a precious little baby. Bayu continued to speak on Tangning's behalf as she displayed her kindness and high EQ. But, the more she did this, the more people disliked Tangning, because everyone felt that Bayu's existence was more pleasing than Tangning's. However, that same morning at 10 a.m., on the big screen in Beijing's biggest downtown square, the newest commercial for a famous luxury brand began playing. As soon as the commercial was released, the internet erupted with discussions. Because, in the short 30-second clip, the spokesperson turned out to be Tangning. That's right, the Tangning that everyone currently disliked. Dressed in a white sports bra and tights, with boxing gloves and slightly curled shoulder-length blonde hair, Tangning exuded elegance and energy. Everyone was lured in with one glance. She was too cool. She seemed pure and free with her naturally young appearance. As mentioned earlier, she went through 7 costume changes in the commercial. Most notable of all, was the last shot with the long dress and the roses. It was absolutely stunning. The dress shaped her body in a way that looked more voluptuous and sexy than before, and her stomach recovered well without any remaining excess fat. It was an envious sight to see. Oh God, I'm getting burnt by Tangning. I already jumped to Bayu's side, but at this moment, I have no choice but to return to Tangning. Those that said Tangning's figure is fat and disgusting must have swollen faces by now. All I want to say is, Someone has been dabbling in Hollywood for so long but has never secured such a big name endorsement campaign. Mining really surprised us with a ticking time bomb. While Baeyu was still cheering about her Hayek, Beijing had already been spammed by the words A Tangning and the A Big brand commercial. Some fans even commented that they can watch the commercial dozens of times and still won't be sick of it because Tangning had a great figure and she looked beautiful. At the same time, Tangning's appearance once again stirred up the excitement of fashion critics who used to watch her runway shows. In their hearts, no other model could do what Tangning had done. Even though she had already left the fashion industry, people couldn't help but worship her. It was great. This was so Tangning. Every time news of her appeared, it always reversed the situation and slapped people satisfyingly in the face. So, Baeyu's news was quickly overshadowed until not even a trace remained. Tangning's commercial had only been released for a few hours and the number of views had already exceeded 10 million. Soon afterwards, the big-name luxury brand announced on their official website that their spokesperson, Tangning, was invited to their press release the following night. In other words, after hiding away for so long, Tangning was finally making an appearance in front of everyone. Wow! I must say that Tangning is number one at endurance. So many people were insulting her about being fat, yet she managed to ignore it for so long before coming out to give a face slap. If I was her, I would have thrown my anger a few thousand times already. That's because she knows she's not what people have described her as. Since she has the confidence, why wouldn't she be able to endure it? As Baeyu was in the middle of filming, she was still unaware of the dramatic changes that had occurred. It wasn't until she finally flipped through her phone later that night that she realized, news of Tangning had already flooded the outside world. What's this all about? Baeyu asked her assistant. The assistant glanced at Baeyu and shook her head. I'm not sure what game Tangning played either. Baeyu did not say another word. In front of the public, she had to maintain her friendly image. But, deep inside, she was exploding with anger. She had no idea that by playing the Hayek card, she had dug herself multiple pits to fall into. Chapter 752, I Want You Replaced. All of a sudden, Tangning made a comeback and once again had Baeyu suppressed beneath her. This was due to the fact that people had begun to realize they were wrong to compare Tangning and Baeyu and think that they were similar. Tangning had such a unique personality, how could Baeyu compare? That's right. Tangning was unique and independent. She did not try to suck up to everyone she met. Tangning had always been like that. She was nice to whomever was nice to her. In comparison, even though Baeyu was the type to smile at everyone and appeared approachable, she was actually quite frightening. Because, it was too hard to tell if she'd stab someone in the back or scheme against them at any time. Above all, a person that tried to appease everyone was also a calculative person. They would never treat anyone sincerely because, in their hearts, everyone was the same. Tangning had undoubtedly put up a good battle. This also had an effect on Bai Linlun and Chen Xinyan, who were on set. Previously, when Baeyu received praise from everyone, her sister Bai Linlun was also viewed with admiration. In fact, these admirers joined her in looking down on Chen Xinyan. But now, Tangning suddenly swept in and the winds changed. People in the crew that originally made things default for Chen Xinyan, finally knew to restrain themselves and no longer dared to give her attitude. In fact, some of them even bought things to get on her good side. However, the best thing that Chen Xinyan did during this time was, she seriously learned to be herself. So, those people received nothing in return. Seeing what had happened, Bai Linlun walked over to Chen Xinyan and said, "Haze, did you suddenly feel that your status has been elevated because of Tangning? Let me tell you, Tangning is Tangning. You're not her." After hearing this, Chen Xinyan did not want to waste another second on Bai Linlun. "Didn't you use your sister's achievements to act arrogantly? What's wrong now? Are you the only one allowed to leech off others? You." Also, since Ningji has already made a comeback, it means that your sister will no longer have the chance to win against her. If you have the time to act jealous in front of me, you might as well spend that time on improving your acting. Chen Xinyan, I bet you shamelessly seduced the director, didn't you? Bai Linlun said in a harsh tone. Otherwise, why would the director treat you so nicely, when he even yelled at the female lead? After hearing this, Chan Xinyan grabbed Bai Linlin by the arm and dragged her over to the director. I dare you to repeat yourself in front of the director. What's this about? Director Wang immediately asked. Bai Linlin obviously never expected Chan Xinyan to place her face to face with the director. Do you have the guts to do it? You're bullying me because you have Tang Ning backing you. Bai Linlin suddenly sounded like the victim. Fine, if you won't say it, then I'll say it on your behalf. Chan Xinyan wasn't going to show any mercy. She knew, no matter how nicely she treated the Bai sisters, they would never be grateful for it. So, rather than doing that, she might as well enjoy herself. Bai Linlin asked me a moment ago whether the director had been treating me nicely because I seduced him. Director Wang's face immediately turned red after hearing this. With one swing of his arm, he threw a slap across Bai Linlin's face. Flack you! I dare you to say it again right to my face. After suffering a slap, Bai Linlin was shocked, speechless, or broken bar. If you're wondering why I'm so nice to Xinyan, you should perhaps look at the way she's constantly studying the script. She's here as a serious actress. What are you here for? You've simply been conspiring with others and acting arrogant. How dare you complain that I've been biased towards Xinyan? Do you think a teacher would care about their worst student? Bai Linlin, let me tell you, I am going to sue you for defamation. I have a family and a wife. I won't allow you to insult me in such a way. It was clear to see that Director Wang was truly angered. By the way, Bai Linlin, I don't think you're very suited to my film. So, you should get out of here. Broken bar. Director. What do you mean by this? What I mean is, get lost. The film no longer needs you. I want you replaced. The director shooed with immense power. No one dared to make a sound. Even the staff that usually got along with Bai Linlin simply focused on self-preservation at a time like this. Director, I was simply joking. Don't replace me, please don't. Bai Linlin had never been treated like this, nor had anyone attacked her self-esteem in such a way. But, the industry had always been heartless. Even your sister has been suppressed with the blink of an eye. Did you think you'd be able to escape? After speaking, Director Wang turned and left. Everyone witnessed the scene of Bai Linlin being replaced, so they began to re-evaluate Chan Xinyan's capabilities. Bai Linlin ran around and begged for help, but no one dared to offend the director on her behalf. Unless, of course, they had a death wish. Although Chan Xinyan pitied Bai Linlin, she grabbed her script and returned to her seat. Bai Linlin absolutely detested Chan Xinyan, so, she pounced over to hit her. But, not only was Chan Xinyan skilled in martial arts, she still had an Anzihao to shield her. So, as soon as Bai Linlin pounced over, Anzihao tackled her to the floor. Chan Xinyan, I hate you. I'm going to make you pay back 1,000-fold for what you've done today. Anzihao ignored her as he turned to praise Chan Xinyan. You did well. Chan Xinyan smiled confidently before she lowered her head and continued studying the script in her hands. In reality, she knew that she had leached off Tang Ning's success with this incident. If Tang Ning had not made a comeback, it would have been difficult for her to deal with Bai Linlin like she did today. Seeing that the situation could not be saved, Bai Linlin pulled out her phone and gave Bai Yu a call. Sis, you need to get justice for me. But, Bai Yu was in no mood to deal with Bai Linlin's matters. After she returned to the hotel earlier, she had looked up Tang Ning's commercial and ended up looking at it a few dozen times. She never expected that Tang Ning was calculative to this extent. Tang Ning first allowed Bai Yu to show off in front of everyone and let her gain nationwide praise. Afterwards, she took advantage of the moment to surprise everyone. She was indeed Mo Ting's wife. Her tricks were definitely more sophisticated. However, they still had plenty of chances to compete against each other in future. The final victor was yet to be decided. Perhaps, in Bai Yu's eyes, she didn't think she was an easy opponent for Tang Ning. But, in reality, even if Bai Yu didn't exist, Tang Ning would have still done things in the same way. It's just, with Bai Yu around, the result had more of an impact. Meanwhile, inside one of the walk-in wardrobes at Hyatt Regency, Tang Ning put on a dress she hadn't worn for a long time. It almost felt like the dress was from another lifetime. At this time, Mo Ting wrapped his arms around her from behind and asked, "Are you planning to wear this to the event tomorrow?"
Hit the like, thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening.